From the Cactus KCTS FM Phoenix, I'm Jamison Greenwood with Greenwood and Company. Well, so exciting to be back with you all for this, our 10th episode already, and it's a perfect one to begin the Christmas season with. This will be our Christmas episode part 2, and I'm so excited for the coming Christmas season. Also want to wish a happy Hanukkah to all of our friends of the Jewish faith. I know it's a few days away, but want to get it in while I can. And a happy birthday to Catherine Querequio, who celebrated her birthday on Thursday. So last week I was telling you all about when we had our Secret Santa with the Brubeck's gang, who were also members of the Episcopal Church, and Colton was in a bit of a sticky situation with his Secret Santa gift, and even though I thought I had found the perfect Secret Santa gift for Annabelle, I was a little bit concerned with how it was going to go. Later that night, we gathered at the chapel at St. Ed's to assemble our food and gifts, then drive to Deacon Ruth's house for the party. Most of us students arrived on foot, excepting Jorge, Kelly, and their dog, Tex, who arrived in the Toyota 4Runner, and Annabelle, who came in Heather's Subaru. While waiting on the rest of our crew to arrive, I cooked my queso dip, which was merely a mixture of paste medium salsa and Velveeta melted together in the microwave. Meanwhile, Annabelle, who had gotten there about half an hour earlier, was stirring her soon-to-be-completed pots of refried beans and red Spanish rice on the old gas stove in the church kitchen. Annabelle looked immaculate, wearing a long-sleeved emerald green dress with a knee-length skirt and snowflake stitching, and a fresh red poinsettia in the part of her lemonade-colored hair. As for the guys, I felt a little overdressed in my red V-neck sweater, Christmas tie, black slacks, and matching wingtips, while the rest were in Christmas graphic sweatshirts, but no one seemed to mind. Annabelle and many others complimented it, so I figured it was okay. There was room for everyone and their gifts in the chaplain's 4Runner except 2, so Annabelle agreed to drive me and her in Heather's Subaru. I nestled my Secret Santa gift between her saxophone and her gift, wrapped in sage green paper sporting red Christmas trucks. As we drove off the HCU campus, we passed by the Christmas tree at Old Main, then the official pine bough Christmas tree in front of the courthouse among the lighted shop windows with their Christmas displays. A slice of conservative small-town America, paradoxically kept alive through the liberal university driving Pine Bough's economy. The trees, their colored lights, and the snow on the ground seemed so much more like how Christmas was advertised when I was a kid, compared to the actuality of the heat miser's domain over my Sonoran desert hometown. This was Christmas as I dreamed of it my entire life. Annabelle, being the girl of my dreams, enhanced it. She and I alone in the car, her with the poinsettia in her beautiful blonde hair, a smooth jazz rendition of Let It Snow playing ever so quietly on the stereo, and the beautiful pine trees and small-town settings we passed through. I felt closer to her than ever before. Though I knew better than to steal a kiss, if we knew each other better, I knew this would be the perfect setting for such a thing. While we stopped for a red light on Schmetterling Avenue, a beer cart with roaring drunk students at a traveling bar passed us by. Though Annabelle's face showed apathy for the situation, she turned up Let It Snow to drown out the noise, and I caught myself humming along with it, and so did she. "You like this, Jimmy?" she smiled. "I do. Who is it?" "Kenny G, another great sax player." "Not as great as you," I replied. I thought I went too far, though she was smiling after I said this. "Did you have a hard time with your Secret Santa?" Annabelle asked. "A little, but I think I found something that'll work. I'll have to wait and see." Annabelle smiled. "I'm sure what you got is fine." "And yours too," I replied, wanting to reassure her. We soon pulled in front of Deacon Ruth's house, a mid-century ranch with red brick facades, gray siding, and teal shutters. It had little ornamentation for Christmas, save a string of white lights on the eaves, an 8-pointed white star between 2 bedroom windows, and 2 Christmas wreaths studded with pine cones and poinsettias on each of the double entry doors. Once inside, Annabelle and I were greeted in the entryway by Deacon Ruth, where her brother, Leon, was talking to the chaplain and his wife. Once instructed by Deacon Ruth, Annabelle and I placed our Secret Santa gifts under the right side of the tree in her living room so as not to mix them up with the gifts for her children, grandchildren, and siblings at the other side. I returned to the entryway to greet the others when Colton came up and gave me a fist bump. "Can I take a look at your Secret Santa when you get a chance?" "I suppose," I said. I wasn't sure what he meant by my Secret Santa gift. I certainly didn't want him inadvertently spoiling it for Annabelle. It wouldn't have been a... "Oh, I'm sorry, Ivan? Oh, okay. Our engineer Ivan is telling me that we have to take a short break, but when we come back, I will tell you a little bit more about how everything went and what Heather and Annabelle actually thought of their gifts. You're listening to Greenwood and Company on KCTS. It's that uninvited guest that comes every winter. The common cold. Do you want to be coughing into your stocking on Christmas morning, covering your precious bounty in dander-laden mucus and phlegm? Well, even if all you get is coal, stop dirty hacking before it starts with Gulliver's Cough Syrup. Our blend of Laputan berries and TNT absorbs all mucus and blows out every obstruction, maybe even your nose itself. Side effects may include nocturnal binge eating, skull-shattering headaches, and dreams involving destruction of snowmen with a blowtorch. But no need to call a physician. We will find you if you do. That stubborn hacking's no match for Gulliver's Cough Syrup, a product of St. Petersburg Coffee and Tea Company of Hannibal, Missouri. Available in the pharmacy section at Giggott's supermarkets and other subpar retailers. Have yourself a merry little Christmas, let your heart beat. Oh, welcome back. You are listening to Greenwood and Company on the Cactus, KCTS. So when we left off, Colton wanted to take a look at my Secret Santa, which I thought was kind of odd. We both walked to the living room, and I sat on the ledge of the red brick fireplace to point it out to Colton. "Can I have one of the bows?" he asked. There were 3 bows on my package, 2 red and 1 green. "Why do you need it?" I asked him. Colton sat next to me and whispered in my ear. I had to make some modifications to Heather's gift. I'll explain later. I agreed, then detached the green bow, remembering that red was Annabelle's favorite color. Once Colton took the green bow, I moved one of the remaining red bows to cover the small blemish that the Scotch tape holding the green bow had left. When the Westminster chimes of Deacon Ruth's grandfather clock struck the middle of the hour, we gathered in the living room for our Christmas service. Kelly sat ready to play hymns at the piano. Jorge set up the communion chalice, paten, and Advent wreath on the coffee table as a makeshift altar, and we made our pews among the French provincial armchairs, sofa, and accent chairs, while some, like Colton and Heather, made their pews cross-legged on the Persian rug like Sunday school children. My mother's adage, "A church is not the building, it's the people," had never been clearer. Deacon Ruth read and discussed the passage Linus quoted from Luke's Gospel about the manger in Bethlehem, and once we exchanged the word of peace, we sang old favorites to Kelly's piano. "Go tell it on the mountain, O come all ye faithful, away in a manger, O little town of Bethlehem," and, of course, Silent Night. Though Jorge brought along several hymnals, they proved redundant. We all knew the first verses by heart, and enough of us knew the subsequent verses to cover for the others who didn't. Once we took our coffee table communion and posed for a few photos taken by Leon, Jorge told us to go in peace, and we proceeded to the buffet line for our fiesta-styled Christmas dinner. Unlike the one-by-one exchange of gifts I was used to from my childhood, we were asked to reassemble in the living room and pass along our gifts to their respective recipients all at once. Among some exchanges I recall, Kayla gave a blue hydro flask to Colton, Heather gave a geode with a purple crystal to Josh, a geology major. Then once Heather gave Josh his geode, Colton asked her to come into the kitchen. Colton asked Heather to close her eyes once they arrived, and removed the bow I'd given him from his pocket, put it on the food processor along with a tag labeled Heather, and asked her to open her eyes. Heather's eyes went wide and her jaw dropped. "Colton, you mean—" I figured Christmas would be better if I spoiled this surprise than if I spoiled things by giving it to you when you were bummed for not being able to make your scones. The box and instructions are in the trunk. Colton relayed all of this to me later, and though I couldn't hear any of the dialogue with the cacophony in the living room, I saw Heather give a passionate hug to Colton through the kitchen doorway. This gave me the courage to approach Annabelle, who was assembling her sax for a Christmas jam session with Kelly on the piano. "You are my Secret Santa, Annabelle." "That works out good, 'cause you're mine." We exchanged gifts. Ladies first, I replied, then realized such a suggestion was perhaps incompatible with feminism, and considering Annabelle's feminist nature, I regretted it immediately. However, Annabelle showed no hard feelings. She slowly removed the red wrapping paper with the Christmas penguins I'd taped together to reveal the black-bound, gold-gilded Portuguese Biblia Sagrada. "Wow!" Annabelle exclaimed. "You like it? This is the best kind of gift, the one you didn't put on your list but would have if you'd thought of it." I smiled, then stared at my gift, the heavy package I'd seen in the trunk of the Subaru earlier that evening. I feared it could be something breakable and was almost fearful to unwrap it. "Well," Annabelle giggled, "open it." I slowly tore off the Christmas truck wrapping paper and did not find something breakable, but a gift that offered opportunity beyond my expectations for a Secret Santa. A shrink-wrapped set of a dozen Docket Gold brand legal pads. "You do love writing," Annabelle smiled. "This is what I'd put on my list if I'd thought of it." Annabelle giggled. "I'm so glad you're part of our ministry, Jimmy. And I'm grateful to be here. You guys are my real Christmas present this year and every year." You're listening to Greenwood and Company on KCTS. The holidays are here, and for all your food and beverage needs, look no further than Giggett Supermarket, your ultimate subpar food store. You'll serve up holiday cheer with our exclusive Liquid Moteur eggnog, made with Rhode Island red egg yolks and clean-burning ethanol. Serve with a sprinkle of cinnamon for that classic Christmas Eve taste. Or try an exclusive Christmas fruitcake from our bakery, a rich blend of glassy cherries, sweet pecans, molasses, and plastic wood. Available in full or halves, it's a perfect holiday dessert. And when your guests have to go home to meet Santa, or you're tired of them but don't want to call the police, send them home with our gift baskets of assorted Giggett's candies. Everything from chocolate to caramel, peppermint, and cinnamon, all made with the finest lead-laden, mice-infested, high-fructose corn syrup. Sweet treats even Scrooge can't say humbug to. All these Christmas deals are available at Giggett Supermarkets, your resource for all your subpar grocery needs, helping you make the season bright or get payback if you need. Drop by your local Giggett Supermarket today. Additional support for Greenwood and Company and the Cactus, KCTS, comes from DecorRejects.com, an exclusive online retailer of broken vases, beat-up furniture, and poorly exposed photographs, all at prices to meet your budget. Now offering deals on Christmas bear statues with missing ears and noses and melted reindeer Christmas candles. DecorRejects.com, because trash deserves to sell too. Additional funding is provided by the Save the Floppy Disks Foundation, the Used Car Salesman Plaid Sport Coat Foundation, and the Shag Carpet Preservation Fund. Well, when I think of Christmas, especially in childhood, there are several specific things that come to mind. Probably the most significant is the Danish tradition, which was handed down from my Grammy, of dancing around the Christmas tree. We hold hands, go in a circle around the tree while we sing Christmas carols, both the traditional ones that we all know as well as some Danish ones. But the other big Christmas tradition to me is setting up and playing with electric toy trains. My father has always been a big fan of toy electric trains, but one time there was a terrible train accident that I have to tell you about that happened one Christmas in the form of the following poem. Each Christmas us Greenwoods ate turkey and stuffing, and desserts of all kinds. We were lacking in nothing. Among slices of pie, few small crumbs would remain, all except for Dad's plate. He was playing with trains. See, at Christmas my dad was too busy for pie, but it wasn't for sadness. His eyes were quite dry. For Christmas my father's small pieces of track were assembled for trains going clickety-clack. Sitting under the tree in his socks but no shoes, with the toy that most often left Daddy amused. 'Twas his favorite from childhood, its name Lionel. It was 50 years old, but you hardly could tell, for he took such good care of his train 'neath the tree, for the joy of my sister, my cousins, and me. It was carefully oiled, the track was protected, so the smallest of problems could fast be detected. But Dad didn't examine the tree up above. While 'twas many an ornament dearly beloved, there were also stray hooks from some Christmas long past, but they stayed on the branches, continued to last, until one Christmas evening, while playing with trains, a hook fell from the tree like a small drip of rain, and it landed soon after upon a live track. A bad thing, insulation, this metal hook lacked. So the sparks began flying from down on the floor, but the train trudged along through the track loop once more, till at last when it reached the stray hook it derailed, and it seemed that its workings were jammed and impaled. The sparks began flying, and Dad had no choice, with the living room channeling Mom's screaming voice, but to shut off his train, to unplug the transformer, so the tank wouldn't get ever dangerously warmer. But while trying to cut off the flow through the wires, Dad failed to notice the tree was on fire, so he ran for the kitchen as quick as a blink to retrieve the extinguisher under the sink. Dad raced back to the living room, aimed the black hose at the flames called by Kipling men's red flower rose. So he sprayed down the flames, got the fire extinguished. Though much blacker below, the tree still looked distinguished. But his train was now covered in flame-fighting foam. With this blanket the train could no longer go roam. On its tracks which were sticky, its wheels which were jammed, by this flame-fighting foam that train really got slammed. So Dad got a big cloth to clean off his dear train. 'Twas a sight which had caused him considerable pain, for it seemed that his train had now bitten the dust. But in sure Christmas miracles Daddy had trust. 'Twas a Christmas disaster, it seemed like at first, but 'twas one for which Dad had both planned and rehearsed. He unhooked all the tracks, got a pair of red pliers, to repair his dear train, jammed by Christmas hook wires. Then he placed it back down, snapped the tracks back together, so the rest of that night the train chugged through fair weather. A disaster recovered from, Christmas was safe, and disastrous ends, that train somehow escaped. That brings an end to this week's Greenwood and Company. Our show was created and hosted by yours truly, and was written by him along with James Salison and Minnesota Martinez. The engineer is Ivan Crosby. Jonas Andrews answers the phones, even though we don't take calls on this program. The theme was composed by Martin Landstrom, and our costumes are provided by Grandma's Garage Thrift Shop. All the characters, settings, and situations depicted in this program, along with all advertised products, are entirely fictional, and any similarities to products, events, or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. Also, KCTS is not an actual radio station. Be sure to like and leave a comment on this podcast, and make sure to follow us on Spotify to get more information about new episodes. And be sure to share this podcast with your friends. Just a reminder to please be careful if you are going out on Route 66 tonight. I'm Jamison Greenwood, and until next time, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and remember to stay healthy, stay safe, and stay young at heart. Good night. This is KCTS FM Phoenix. Stay tuned for Lacking in Substance.